Good morning, students. Today we will do the last part of this lesson of variation. We have studied direct variation and we have studied inverse variation also. In direct variation, the two quantities increase together or decrease together. Whereas in inverse variation, one quantity increases, the other quantity decreases. So you have to keep that in mind when you are writing the equation for variation. Okay, whenever we write the equation for direct variation, we use the sign of alpha and put the two quantities as they are. Suppose the two quantities are x and y, we write as x varies with y. But when we do the inverse proportion, inverse variation, we write it as x varies with 1 upon y. Why? Because it is an inverse variation. So now we will go to the next part, that is time, work and speed. Examples related to the number of workers and time taken to finish the work are of inverse variation. We have seen in the earlier sums also that if some building is to be built or some wall is to be built and some workers are working over there, if 10 workers are working and they take 10 days, if we double the number of workers, the time taken will become half, because more workers are there, they will do the work, they'll do more work and the work will be reduced. So similarly, there are some examples related to the time taken to cover a distance by a vehicle and its uniform speed. Such examples of variation are examples related to time, work and speed. Suppose a train is traveling, okay, from here to Delhi, from Mumbai to Delhi, and the speed of the train is say 100 kilometers per hour, 100 kilometer per hour, and the distance from here to Delhi, here to Goa, suppose let us take the train from here to Goa, it is a shorter distance, so the distance is nearly 700 kilometers. Okay, so if the train is traveling at the speed of 100, then it will take nearly 7 hours to travel. But if another train is traveling at the speed of 50 kilometers per hour, it will take exactly double. So same way, this is also inverse variation, but here it is related to speed and time. Okay, now let us see some examples. 15 women finished the work of harvesting a groundnut crop in 8 days. Harvesting means plucking, taking out the crop, cutting the crop, harvesting. So you should know the meanings of these words also, otherwise you won't know what are they doing. So 15 women are working and there is a field and in it there is a groundnut crop, so they remove that crop in 8 days. Now we have to find the number of women. Now we have to find the number of women if same job is to be completed in 6 days. Now if same work whichever was done by these women in 8 days, I want to complete in 6 days, so how many women should work? Now when you read the sum only, you should understand what type of variation it is going to be. So when the number of days are going to become less, I want to finish the same work in less number of days, I will have to naturally ask more women to work, so the number of women is going to go up, that is they are going to be more number of women, so it will be a inverse proportion. Let us see now. The number of days required to finish a job is inversely proportional to the number of women employed. Let the number of days be D and number of women be N. So you have to write such statements whenever you do such sums. Okay. So what first you have to write? What type of variation it is? And then you have to assume means you have to take the number of, let the number of days be D, let the number of women be N. This alphabets you can take any, or if they have given you that take the number of women as N, then you have to take the same, otherwise you can take whichever alphabet you want. So here they have taken number of days D and number of women N. Now D is proportional to 1 upon N, because we know that is an inverse proportion, therefore D into N is equal to K. K is a constant, so this is our equation of variation. So first you will write the statement, that is first you will write what type of variation it is, then you will take the two quantities, you will write the variation between them in this form, you will write the equation of variation. Now we want to find the constant. Always they will give two things in this, they will give first both the quantities to find the constant, and in the second part they will give one quantity only, so with the help of the constant you have to find the second quantity. Now if N is 15, then D is 8, that is given to us, so that is given, isn't it? 8 days. 15 women finish the work in 8 days. So when n is 15, d is 8. Therefore, k is equal to d into n, that is 120. Now let us find n when d is 8. Now second part, what they have given us, that they have given us the n, that is number of days 6. We want to find the d. So d into n is k again, and k we know it is 120, and we know what is the d also. So d is what is the n also. So n is equal to sorry, we know what is the d. Days are 8, so we write the days as in the first quantity. Now let us find n. Yeah, it should be 6 over here, right? Okay, this is wrongly written. It should be 6. Now let us find n when d is 6. We have to find the value of n when d is given as 6. So we will substitute here. 6 into n is equal to 120. Therefore n is equal to 20. Why? 20 into 6 gives 120. So how many women should work to finish the same work in 6 days? 20 women should. This answer also you have to write. Therefore 20 women should be employed to finish the work in 6 days. Now where would you get this sentence to write the answer? It is in the question only. See here, last, find the number of women if the same job is to be completed in 6 days. So instead of use, remove this find, and the remaining part is the answer part, which you will write. The capital T you will write. The number of women if the same job is to be completed in 6 days is 20. That way also you can write the answer. So instead of forming a new sentence, you can take the sentence from the question itself. That is usually the last sentence of the question is the main question part, and that is to be written in the answer form. Now we'll take one more example. A vehicle running at a speed of 48 kilometers per hour. Now this is one dash and then HR. So kilometers per hour means 48 kilometers in 1 hour. Per hour means 1 hour. 48 kilometers per hour takes 6 hours to complete the journey. So one vehicle is going, or a car is going, and it is traveling at 48 kilometers in 1 hour, and whatever journey it has to complete, it has to go, it takes 6 hours to complete the journey. How much time will be taken to complete the journey if the speed of its speed is 72 kilometers per hour? Now same journey is to be completed, isn't it? Journey is not different, distance is not going to change. Okay, only the speed is going to change. So the speed has increased from 48 to 72. What will happen to the number of hours? What type of proportion or variation it is? So when the car is traveling at some speed, it takes 6 hours. If the speed is increased, the travel time will become less, isn't it? When the speed of the car increases, it will travel more in 1 hour, and it will take less time to cover the distance. So this is an inverse variation, so the time taken would be less than 6 hours. Yeah, now let us assume the speed of vehicle to be s. Now why we are assuming? We are not given us what alphabet is to be taken, so we say let us take, or let us assume the speed to be s and time taken to be t. Now there is a inverse variation. See, this way you have to always write solution. Okay, the whenever you do the sum, it has to be very neat and clean and to the point, and it should have proper statements, then only you get the marks. So for statement you get 1 marks, for the equation you might get half mark, for writing the equation in a proper way you get half mark, for writing the answer you get half mark. Okay, so if even if you write one statement like this, you will get 1 mark. Even if your sum is wrong, you can get 1 mark if you write the statement properly. Understand? So always writing of statement is very important in such type of problems. Now there is an inverse variation in speed and time. So we write the this proportion a variation s is varies with 1 upon t, or inversely varies with t, and then we write the equation of variation. S into t is equal to k, where k is constant. Now s is, what is s given to us in this sum? S is 48 and T is 6. So the distance traveled is how much? 288 kilometers. Now the same distance is to be traveled, isn't it? But now the speed will be what? The speed is 72. We have to find the T when S is 72. So S into T is 288. Therefore, 72 into t is 288. Therefore, t is equal to 288 upon 72. As I had told you, we have to remove this 72. So, we divide by 72 here. We divide by 72 here also. So, 72 and this 72 will cancel, which is over here. And then 288 divided by 72 will be 4. So, therefore, now again I told you what they have asked there in the question, what is the time taken to travel the distance of same distance. So therefore time taken to travel the same distance at the speed of 72 kilometers per hour is 4 hours. This way now we will do this sums, few sums of this 1 2 3 4 sums, and let us see how much we can do now. We'll do the sum number 1. Now they have asked here which of the following statements are of inverse variation. So we have to read and we have to understand which of the statements are of inverse variation. Now the first statement is number of workers on a job and time taken. I will just show you the textbook this way. Yeah. This we have to solve orally only. Number of workers on a job and time taken by to complete the job. We have to only understand which of these statements are inverse. See, number of workers on a job and time taken. Workers, those who work. So if 5 people are doing the work, they complete the job in 5 days. When you get such type of sums, you have to assume something, like you have to take some numbers and understand the type of the sum. Now here they have asked you what number of workers on a job and time taken. So we have to think that suppose five workers are doing the job and they complete it in 5 days. Now if the same job is to be completed in one day, will I require more workers or less workers? You have to ask the question to yourself, then only you can solve these sums. So when 5 workers are working and they take 5 days, if the same job is to be completed in one day, I want to finish it in one day, so what should I do? I should ask more workers. So number of workers will become more when the number of days less. So this will be a inverse variation. Now let us see the next. Number of pipes of same size to fill a tank and the time taken by them to fill the tank. Number of pipes of same size to fill a tank and the time taken by them to fill the tank. See, if I increase one pipe, I use one pipe to fill one tank. The tank capacity of the tank is same. You can take this example in this way. Suppose you have a bucket, you want to fill that bucket and you have one small glass with you. One glass. Now if you're going to fill the bucket with the help of the glass water, take the water from the tap in the glass and fill the bucket. Now same size, if you have 3 glasses, will the time taken be less or will it be more? Will it be the same as you take for one glass? So when I increase the number of glasses, the bucket will be filled quickly. So same way here. So pipes are there. So number of pipes, if there is one pipe, the bucket will take suppose 10 minutes to fill bucket or tank, maybe here the tank takes 10 minutes to fill. But if there are 5 pipes, the tank will be filled very quickly. So this is also a statement of inverse variation. Now let us see this. Petrol filled in a tank of a vehicle and its cost. Yeah, now petrol. Suppose I want to fill 1 liter petrol and I have to pay 80 rupees. And now I want to, today I tell no, I want to fill 2 liters of petrol. Will the cost of the petrol increase or decrease? It is 80 rupees per liter, right? So when I fill 1 liter, I have to pay 80 rupees. When I fill 2 liters, how much will I have to pay? 160. So as if I want to fill 3 liters, it will be 240. So as the number of liters increases, the cost of the petrol will also increase. So what type of variation this is? This is a direct variation. Why? The quantity of petrol increases, the cost also increases. So this is what they have asked us. This is this a inverse variation? No, this is a direct variation. Now let us see the next. Area of circle and its radius. Now area of circle and its radius. What is the formula for area of circle? I think you know. If you don't know, the formula for area of circle is pi r square. This is the formula for area of circle. Now area depends on the radius, because this quantity pi is a constant. It is 22 upon 7. It does not change. So if I increase r, now when the r is 2, the area will be some, it will have some quantity, okay. But when I increase the r to 4, what will happen to the area? That will also increase. Why? Because pi is constant. When I draw a circle, see, when I draw a circle with radius 2, I'll draw this way circle. The area occupied is this much. But when I draw a circle with suppose 5 centimeter area, the circle will be such big. So the area occupied by the circle is naturally going to be more. So area of circle and radius, that are also in direct variation. So we write here D. They are not in inverse variation. So these two quantities are inverse variation. These two are direct variation. So when you have to write such things, you have to understand the sum and write. Now we will solve the sum number 2. What is the sum here? If 15 workers can build a wall in 48 hours, how many workers will be required to do the same work in 30 hours? So 15 workers are building a wall and they take 48 hours. And if I want to complete the same work in 30 hours, less number of hours, number of workers whom I should use should be more or less? It should be more. So first what we'll write? This is inverse variation. That should be your first statement. Then second we have to write, now what we have two quantities, workers and hours. So let the workers be shown by W and hours by H. Okay, so we are doing this. Now what do we have? Therefore workers is inversely proportional to hour. Okay, therefore W into H is equal to K. K is constant. All this part you have to write, okay, whenever you're doing this word problem. Now what they have given us, okay, 15 workers complete in 48 hours. That is our first statement, that is given to us, they have given us. So from here, therefore, what is W? 15 multiplied by hours is 48 is equal to K. That is a constant. So we will multiply, as I told you, you will do the rough work at the right hand side, multiplied by 15. So 15, if you know the table, you can do separate also. 5, 8 5s are 40, 5 4s are 20 and 4 24, 8 1s are 8, 4 1s are 4, 0. This is 720, that is K. K is 720. Now what they have given us? They have asked us how many workers will be required to do the same work in 30 hours. Now how many workers complete in 30 hours? That is, they have asked us. Now here what we'll write, again we have to workers into hours is equal to K. Workers we don't know, so we put this alphabet W. Hours is 30 is equal to K is how much? 720. Now we don't want this 30, so what do? We divide by, you can write it like this, divide by 30 on both sides, because whenever we divide on this side we have to divide here also. So W into 30 upon 30 is equal to 720 upon 30. This 30 will cancel, this 0 will cancel. Now 3 ones are 3 twos are 6, 1 will remain, 3 fours are 12. So W is equal to 24. That is, now what is the last sentence of this sum? See, how many workers will be required to do the same work in 30 hours. So instead of how many, you will what you will write? 24 workers are required to do the same work in 30 hours. That is your answer. So instead of, see, last sentence, always a last sentence in the sum tells you what you have to write in the answer. How many workers will be required? So 24 workers are required or will be required. You can write will be also, to do the same work in 30 hours. Now sum number 3 is in a similar way. 120 bags of half-liter milk can be filled by a machine within 3 minutes. Find the time to fill such 1800 bags. Again you will write that way only. For bags you will take B, and for minutes you can take M, and solve the sum. So third sum you will solve on your own. I will do the fourth sum now, because it has a like it is half, 7.5 quantity is there. That's why I will try to solve the sum here. A car with a speed 60 kilometers per hour takes 8 hours to travel some distance. So what is given here? 60 kilometers per hour it travels, it takes 8 hours. What should be the increase in the speed if same distance is to be covered in 7.5 hours? Now 8 hours, instead of 8 hours I want to complete the distance in 7.5 hours. So what should be my speed? What should be the increase in speed? Okay, so they want, so the number speed should become less or more, because I want to cover the distance in less number of hours, so speed should increase. So again you will write this is inverse variation. Why you have to write this? Because in the exam you might get direct variation sum also or inverse. So first always you have to mention what type of variation it is. Let the speed be shown as S and hours by H. Okay, now we know H is proportional to S. Why? Because it is inversely proportional. You can take D also, hours, whatever. So H into S is equal to K. That is constant. That also you have to mention. Now what they have given us first? 60 kilometers speed, 60 kilometers, and hours taken is 8. Okay, that is the first part. So we will write now in here, hours is 8 into speed is 60, that is equal to K. So 6 8s are 48, that will be 480. So the distance is how much? 480. Now the second part, what they have asked us, speed we want to find out. So hours is given to us, speed we don't know how much, hours is how much? 7.5. Now same equation we will follow. H into S is equal to K. Now hours, now 7.5. Now how will you write 7.5 in terms of, you cannot write 7.5 like this directly. Okay, so how will you write this? You will write it as 7.5, because half the isn't it? 7.5. So half is 0.5. Half means 0.5. 1/4 means 0.25. 3/4 means 0.75. So 7.5 you will write it as 7.5, or you can also write it as, see, this is a mixed fraction. 7/2. You can convert it into a proper fraction. 7 2s are 14 and 115 upon 2. You can write it as 15 upon 2 or 7.15 upon 2 will become 7.5. So this is 7.5 multiplied by s, we don't know, and this is how much? 480. Now we have to divide by, how much we have to divide by? 7.5 on both sides. So 7.5 into s upon 7.5 is equal to 480 upon 7.5. This cancels. So s. Now how we are going to divide by 7.5? So direct division you will do without considering the point. Whenever you have such thing, what you will do? 480 divided by, you will do 75. Okay, you will not consider the point. Or if you can remove this point, how will you remove this point from here? Whenever you have to remove the point from the denominator, see how many numbers are there after the point. There is only one number here. How many numbers are there? One. It can be any number. It can be 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, any number. But how many are there? Only one. So when there is one number after the point, when you have to remove this point, you will multiply the numerator by that many number, that many zeros number, that is 10 number which has 10, that is 10. So if you want to remove this point, what we will do? 480 upon 75 first we will write. Now we want to remove the point. There is one number after the point, so we will multiply here by 10. If the point was here before 7, then there would have been two numbers after the point and we would have multiplied this by 100. So how many numbers are there after the point? That much zeros numbers you have to multiply in the numerator. If we want to remove the point from the numerator, same thing you will multiply in the denominator. If you have a sum like this, I'll just example I'll show you. If you have a sum like 4.5 upon 6. Now if we want to remove this point, there is one number after the point, so this will become 45.6 into 10. We will multiply the number in the denominator. Whichever point you have to remove, you have to multiply the number in the opposite side. That is, if it is in the numerator, multiply in the denominator. If it is in the denominator, multiply to the numerator. How much number you have to multiply? You have to multiply the multiples of 10, 100, 1000, and how much, what you will take, whether you will take 10 or 100 or 1000 depends upon the number of digits after the point. If there are two digits after the point, you will take 100. If there are three digits, you will take 1000. Now here there is only one digit, so I took 10. So this way you will remove this point. So now 480 into 10 will give me 4800 upon 75. So instead of you can do the division and see now 4800 divided by 75. Now 75 and 48, it will not go one time. We have to prepare the 75 table. 75 ones are 75, 75 twos are 150, 75 threes are 225, 75 fours are 300, 75 fives are 375, 75 six are 450, and 75 sevens are is 525. So this won't do. We will have to take 75 1 2 3 4 5 6 times. 75 6 are, that is 450, 0 3. Then 75 1 2 3 4, 75 fours are 300. So whenever you have to do such division, you will first prepare this table. After preparing the table, it becomes easy. So what do we get? We get 64. So now what is this? This is the speed which is required. Now what they have asked us, see the question they have. Now don't just in a hurry write down 64. What question is asked? How much of increase in the speed it should be done. So what was the earlier speed? The earlier speed was 60. And now how much speed we require? We require 64. So how much more speed do we require? So we need 4 kilometer per hour increase in speed. So if you write the 64, your half or 1 mark might be cut in the sum. Why? Because they have not asked what should be the speed, they have asked what should be the increase in the speed. So earlier speed was 60, now we want 64. So the increase in the speed is how much? 4 kilometer per hour increase in the speed. Okay, so this is the answer. Now with this we have finished the lesson of variation, that is lesson number 7. In this 7.3 you have to do the sum number 3 for homework. Next time we will start with the construction and types of quadrilateral.